Yes, ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? Seagull Talks Football. We're back again with another video. This is a sad video and a good video at the same time because Emile Smith Rowe will be saying goodbye to Emile Smith Rowe as he will be headed to Fulham Football Club. Also, we're going to be welcoming Calafiori as he's going to be the new Arsenal signing of the day. We also have talks with Leroy Sane, Mikel Merino. Mikel Merino could get actually done. This deal could get done very, very soon, ladies and gentlemen. Wow, this is going to be very interesting to discuss some of these topics. Arsenal news today. This is actually my third video of the day today. Today's been an extremely busy day, so we got to cover everything going on with Arsenal transfer news for today. I will also be having Deo on the show. And if any of you guys want to jump on, I will consider putting the link in the chat. Just let me know what you guys thinking. We got some people here talking about Viktor Gyokeres. We're going to get on to Gyokeres also, as there is some news about Gyokeres to Mia Ahmed. There is. But yeah, big up everyone in the comment section. Let's get the show started. Before we go any further, do me a favor. Please do hit that like button. Please do hit that subscribe button. When he stops the attack, he's our center back, Calafiori. Yeah, I don't know the words to that song yet, but I gotta get my rhythm to get to that before I start singing that song. But there's a lot to talk about. I'm just gonna say Calafiori. Should we talk about Calafiori first, or should we talk about Emile Smith Rowe first? You know what? We'll talk about Emile Smith Rowe first. I think it's quite sad. It was fun while it lasted, but I wish Emile Smith Rowe good luck on his adventures at Fulham, and I hope he shines very bright. I hope he plays very well, and I hope he does his best. But Arsenal did sell him today, and they sold him to Fulham. It's tough because I really, really, really wanted Emile Smith Rowe to work out at Arsenal. I wanted him to work out so much. I wanted it to be a match made in heaven where we see an Emile Smith Rowe for the next 5 to 10 years in that attack / midfield with Odegaard and everybody else, but it just didn't work. Injuries, fitness problems, and today we sold him for a total of £34 million. It's pretty good, especially when you consider that he barely played last season. So to sell him for £34 million package is quite well. And I think Fulham got their man. They're quite happy. Arsenal also are losing somebody who is been at the club from the beginning of this whole rebuild while we're doing our job. And it's just like, it kind of feels sad, but at the same time, you want to be happy for the guy because he's getting a move away. And maybe with this move, he'll have less defensive focus on him and he'll be able to play his game a lot better. But wow. This is one that was definitely it's definitely a goodbye. It's definitely a goodbye and you know what? Maybe it's a good thing. Maybe it's a good thing in the sense that we get rid of him now before his value decreases more. We get rid of him now before the sentiment and everything has to go. No sentiment in football. We always said we have to be ruthless. We always say we have to be extremely ruthless. And Emile Smith Rowe leaving is just another example of that, be it ruthlessness. And yeah, I think we got a decent fee. Some people can say whatever they want to say, but that's a decent fee. Big up to Ilyas. Yes, we're getting the raid from Rafal. Shout out to everybody there. We got Deo jumping in right now. Also, what's good, Deo? Yeah, man, we're just talking about this right here, man. This is sad, man. What do you think?
I hate to see him go, but it is what it is, man. I think over the last 2 seasons, I've detached myself from being sentimental to any player. It's about the club for me. If the money coming in from an Emile Smith Rowe sale can go generate and buy me another player that can do the job and we start winning, then so be it. But once a Gunner, always a Gunner, man. He's always going to be our boy, regardless. I mean, we saw the same with like the likes of Walcott when they left, and every time we saw him, no matter what team he played for, he was still our boy. So I think when it comes to the business side, it is what it is. As much as I rate him and as much as I want him to stay at the club, if we're not able to use him and the manager doesn't trust him enough to play him, that's 1. 2, if his injury persistence is going to be making him unavailable, then sell him and make a profit. Sell him and make a profit, and let's move on from it. There's no sentiment. look at the Ramsdale situation. We brought in Raya. People didn't like it. No need to be sentimental. You have to be ruthless if you want to, win in this EPL right now the way it is. So yeah.
People were asking me, why did I start with the Emile Smith Rowe conversation? Because I think that's the quickest conversation that we're going to have in this stream. There's really not much to be said besides wishing him his best. There's no real debate. Emile Smith Rowe kind of had to leave in order for us to get more done. And Fabio Vieira, it's gonna look like we're gonna end up keeping him. But the next thing that happened,
can I answer this question real quick? If we keep Fabio Vieira, you're not ruthless. Well, the thing is, nobody's coming in for Fabio Vieira. So what do? Do you throw him out? Like, if no team is coming for the player that you want to get rid of, and they're coming for Emile Smith Rowe, what do you do? As a business, you have to make that choice. Are you going to say, I'm going to turn down £35 million for Emile Smith Rowe because I really, really like Emile Smith Rowe and I don't want him to go? And then you try to force Fabio Vieira on the market and nobody comes for him. You end up keeping both of them, which means you can't even bring in better players than either of them. So you have to weigh your options, So that idea that you're not being ruthless because you can't get rid of Fabio Vieira it doesn't hold water.
Yeah, facts. Moving on to the Calafiori news. Bro, I think people are actually
number 33.
I think rivals are scared on a low. I think rivals are scared, and they don't really want to say it. They don't really want to verbalize it. They don't really want to make it known that they feel worried about Arsenal. They want to still try to little bro Arsenal. But the reality situation is, this is a player who a lot of clubs were after. And when I say a lot of clubs, I mean big boy clubs. I mean Manchester United, Chelsea, Liverpool, Juventus. Even I even heard that Real Madrid were interested in him when he was playing in the Euros. Like, we got ourselves a superstar that was playing for Italy in the Euros. Sorry, not a superstar, a star for Italy in the Euros. One of their standout players for them while he's at the Euros. He's going to be wearing the number 33. He's landed. We've got him officially an Arsenal player with the team over there in Philadelphia, and we have ourselves one hell of a defensive unit with the likes of Calafiori. Of course, you now have Saliba, Ben White, Gabriel Magalhaes. You have Timber, you have Tomiyasu, you have Kavior, and then of course Zinchenko, who I personally would get rid of. But yeah, this team, adding to the list, amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I hear the shout, and I'm happy. I'm happy with it because I kept on harping on the fact that last season, again, I'll say this again, Arsenal and Manchester City. In 38 games, we both won 28 games each. Arsenal won 28, Man City won 28. Man City lost 3 games and drew 7 games and won the league. Arsenal lost 5 games and drew 5 games and came second. We were 2 losses away from tying the league with them and winning on the goals difference, which means if we had a different type of defense in the games that we lost and we went away with a point each in 2 games, we would still have won the league, or it would have come down to the wire, right? And these for me are the fine margins where I'm like, okay, Arteta is now looking also at it, even though the defense was not our problem last season, let's show it up some more so that this season, in those type of games where it gets real difficult, if we just need to lock up shop and get a point, we lock up shop and get a point with the kind of defenders that we have. So that's a good thing. I think, of course, we now need to go look at the midfield and then look at the attack and see how to improve. Because it's really hard to improve a team when you're that close to the top. It's almost like, what players do you get that get you over the line? You can't just get everybody. You're either going to have to focus on 2 major departments or 3 major departments in your team and be like, I'm going to shore it up with a lot of depth, quality for quality or quality for better. So yeah. So I'm happy to have the defenders that we have right now, including Zinchenko in the squad as the 3rd or 4th left back, because we don't know what injuries will say. We don't know what could happen. If all it takes is, as long as he doesn't concede goals for us and he allows us to win a game or 2, and then the other players come back from injury, great. And if he's the one that's injured, fine. Whatever the case is, we just have depth. Most importantly.
I just want to say one thing. I'm actually quite taken back by the whole Calafiori signing. And I think people don't really speak about this enough. But this is somebody who almost everybody wanted, especially off the back of his performances for Italy. And we were not only able to sign him, we signed him for less than the actual fee that they originally wanted to sell the player for. We got him for, what was it? How much did we pay? 42 million?
45 in total, I think.
42 million, 45 in euros, right?
Yeah.
So they wanted 50 million euros. So we ended up getting a cheaper deal. Plus, we got the guy that we wanted. I'm quite happy with how Edu and them did this. And one thing people need to realize, the window is not close to being done. Don't lose your heads, because people were losing their heads before we got the Calafiori sign done. People were losing their heads because they weren't seeing any signings getting done. Until the window is shut, don't lose your head. Hold on, because we could go out and now on top of Calafiori, go get Mikel Merino, who we're linked to, go get a forward who we're linked to, and then on top of that, maybe get one more piece. If we get 4 signings through the door this window, that could be enough to not only help us win the league, but to move. And yeah, that's pretty much what I had to say about
Yeah,
that.
I saw the Calafiori deal as an opportunity. I mean, I don't think he was a player that well, let me just say, I hadn't heard any reports before the Euros about Arsenal looking at him. But the fact that we saw him in the Euros and they looked at, and Arsenal had a good relationship with Bologna. If you remember, we got in Tomiyasu on the last day of the window last season. And when Tomiyasu came in on the last day from Bologna as well. So we already have a relationship there. And I'm sure we scout a lot of their players. I'm sure if you have a relationship with a club, you most likely check on them every now and then. So my thing is, I'm just glad that we saw the opportunity, even though we were like, all right, cool, we need somebody to come and play left back, because we saw last season that if it wasn't Zinchenko, it was injury-prone Tomiyasu. If it wasn't Tomiyasu, it was Kiwior, who is actually a left fullback and not a left back. So seeing that opportunity and pouncing on it and getting it, and the player wanting to come to Arsenal, good stuff. I can't complain. I'm happy. I think next is the midfield, and if we can get, I mean, maybe midfield and attack at the same time, just get the players in on time so that at least they have 1 or 2 games, maybe the Bayern Leverkusen game, that would be perfect. Before we go into the season, So yeah, I'm happy so far now. I just have to wait till the window closes before I can judge the entire team for what it is. We'll then see who we have on the roster and then be able to judge.
All right. I just want to say one more thing on Calafiori. Do you think it's a situation where we're now going to be seeing a lot of rotation with Calafiori there? Do you see him playing for Gabriel Magalhaes? Do you see Saliba potentially getting rested a lot more? Or do you think it's still going to be like Saliba, Gabriel play most games if they're fit?
I mean, the truth is, I think now that you have Benjamin White, William Saliba, Gabriel Magalhaes, you have Calafiori, we have Timber. Who else do we have in defense? We have Kiwior. Who else do we have? And then we have Zinchenko. I think that with Timber and Calafiori, having those two kind of players, 2 players who can invert, having a player like Tomiyasu as well, who can play left back, right back, and even full back. For me, it's just different options against different teams. Because here's something that you realize: there's certain teams you would play, and you're like, you know what, Saliba needs to rest today. Throw a Timber in there, and Timber can do the job. Like maybe against a lesser team or in the FA Cup or something. Rotation is going to be key because it's going to be managing, tiredness, fatigue, but not going to be looking leggy. If a player is looking leggy, you have somebody else that can come in that is just as good. If Gabriel Magalhaes, has one of those bozo moments where he gets a yellow card, he can swap him immediately. You can bring in Calafiori and drop Timber in the left back immediately so that he doesn't go and get a red card. There's choices to be made here. So that's what I'm happy about, that there's choices to be made. Because if we don't have those choices, we end up bringing in a player that might cost us that game. And so, yeah.
All right, let's talk about Sane next. And the reason why I want to talk about Sane is because we are linked to Sane, and I don't think this makes any sense at all. I don't think it makes any sense at all. Now, Leroy Sane is linked to Arsenal, and the person who's linked him to Arsenal is actually Florian Penningberg. Do you know who I'm talking about? Once I show you, you'll know who I'm talking about. It's this guy right here. This guy right here. He's linked us to the player, and he said that the tendency did I read that correct?
The tendency, yeah. He says the tendency is that Leroy Sane will not leave FC Bayern in the summer. Sane is fully focused on Bayern and on a possible contract extension beyond 2025. But an extension is not the final stages yet. Therefore, Arsenal is closely monitoring Sane's situation. He's on their list. Arteta and Sane have a great relationship. Yeah, this is not
Personally, I don't know
rumor.
why he said tendency. He's using it weird. Anyways, besides the point, Leroy Sane. I don't think this makes sense.
Yeah, no, but we're not linked to him, Miguel. We can't turn this into news. What he simply said here is he says Leroy Sane is not leaving Bayern this summer. He clearly states that Leroy Sane is not leaving.
Arsenal are closely monitoring the situation.
He says we're monitoring the situation because his extension situation, they haven't finalized it. He's not leaving. They just need to finalize his extension situation. But we're monitoring it. If there's an opportunity there on the last day of the season, if he doesn't get an extension, he wants to leave on the last day. If we feel like you want to bring in a little bit more experience on the right, on the left, hey, fine. But whatever, when if you have a player on your list and you're monitoring them, it doesn't mean you're going to go for them. You might be looking at them for something else, maybe over the next season or in January, or or depending on what's going on at the other club. So he clearly states that Sane is not leaving this summer. Leroy Sane is not leaving.
Sane is likely to stay. But I'm just looking at the fit. Does it work? If we're closely monitoring the situation, obviously we're interested in him and we have a good relationship with Leroy Sane. But my question to you is, if there was a situation where they said to us tomorrow, Leroy Sane, which his transfer fee reportedly was being linked for 60 million, it just financially, it doesn't make sense. That's where I'm coming from.
I hear the financial side of things, but we also have to put into context the fact that Leroy Sane is a quality player in his day. In his day, he was part of the people that did us in at the Champions League. Yeah, he came to the Emirates and he did us in at the Champions League. So I will not say he's a bad signing if we went for him, because he's the kind of player who.
Team News Tick says, I believe this was the mystery German player. Other day, I got an update of Bayern Munich because couldn't secure their target.
Yeah, the other day I got an update that it was off, because Bayern Munich, that means that whatever deal it was that Arsenal was thinking or looking at, Bayern don't want to let him go. So my thing is, on his day, he's a good player. Like, he showed us out at the Champions League. He was one of the guys who did us in. Leroy Sane punished us. And that's Leroy Sane on his day. If we had a Leroy Sane on our team that could come off the bench and play like that for us, for Bukayo Saka on the right, like, what I'm saying, like, coming on his day, he's good. So yeah, if this is the super mystery German, but now we're hearing news that Bayern don't want to let him go. It is what it is. Of course, we'll look somewhere else for somebody else that would.
Bro, doesn't the transfer window make you laugh? We were literally trying to figure out who the hell the mystery German was the whole summer, only to find out it's freaking Leroy Sane, and we're not going to get him.
Yeah, so hey, I never thought it'd be Leroy Sane, because I felt like Bayern signing what's his name again, Olise, was going to make it like they're going to need to bring in Olise slow. Like, I don't think Olise is going to. Let me not speak for Bayern, but I'm just looking from the outside that I think Olise is going to take a few games to blend into the Bayern team, and it's like, okay, they're phasing him out, and then Olise is going to take that role fully.
Let me just break it down to everybody who's saying bring Leroy Sane. Financially, it doesn't work because of two reasons. One, his transfer fee would be 60 million. But you're saying to yourself, yeah, we could pay that. Then you look at his wages. He's on 280K a week.
Euros.
No, that's pounds converted from euros to pounds, because he's on 320 euros. So you convert that to pounds, 180 pounds a week, 180K a week. That would make him our second highest paid player, just behind Kai Havertz. I don't think that the club would want to do that for somebody who they would consider a rotation piece. I don't think he would start week in, week out. He'd be a rotation piece, and he's somebody who's a little bit older, that would not as much hype, not as much scope to grow. And I don't think he comes to us as a finished article. I think he comes to us as a player who's closer to his decline than he is his thing. So yeah, people are saying Partey's on 200K. We'll talk about Partey another day. Nothing's happening with Partey right now. But yeah, Sane will demand at least 175. He's not going to take a massive pay cut. Why would he?
I mean, Yeah, nobody would take a massive pay cut. And at the end of the day, and I know people are like, "Well, are you pocket watching for the club?" With all these new, I mean, seeing what happened to Everton last season and what happened to Leicester and what happened to Nottingham Forest, points deductions halfway through the season, dropping you down the table. I don't want that to happen to my club. So if you're financially going to be responsible, because you're going to lose out on the player, please lose out on the player. I don't care at this point. I would rather not win the league and then get deducted 5 points and then they take it away from me. I would rather that does not happen to my club, So whatever we need to do within the rules to stay sorted within the rules, stay sorted within the rules financially, and let's just go and try to win something this season, and that's it.
All right, moving on to Fabian Ruiz before we go to the final one, which is Mikel Merino. Fabian Ruiz, what we saying, bro? Fabian Ruiz.
That's a baller, man.
They're saying, the sources are saying, sources close to the situation have informed caught offside that Arsenal remain interested in Fabian Ruiz, and he is understood to be seen as a viable option to strengthen the club's midfield. Of course, Fabian Ruiz is an absolute baller, but the question is, will this be an option that we could actually get done? Is this something that you could see happening?
I mean, there's what I read the other day was that there's an option for him to loan with an obligation to buy. If I'm not mistaken, Fabian Ruiz is 28. He's right there at the peak of his powers. So for me, I think that loan with an option to buy is a great deal, because eventually, by the time we want to buy him, his contract with the Sociedad would be one more year left.
We're going to talk about Mikel Merino in a second, but
yeah,
I'm just talking about Fabian Ruiz right now. His situation is a loan potentially with an obligation to buy.
Yes, I think that's a good deal, because then you're not spending so much on him, which means you can still go for Merino. Because that's the whole idea. You're doing this loan deal with an obligation to buy for one season, which means you're probably taking on his salaries. You're paying, maybe 5 million euros or 10 million euros or whatever it is of the money to the club, and then you still have enough money to go get a Merino there, which then gives us the option, more deeper options in the midfield, because now if Thomas Partey stays, we have a Thomas Partey, Jorginho in the 6th role. Then we have a Declan Rice who can play a 6 and an 8. Then you have a Mourinho who can play an 8. And then you have a Fabian Ruiz who also can play a 6 and also 8. Then you have Fabio Vieira and Odegaard who can swap like for like in that position, being the creative guys with the ball. On the right-hand side, then you have a Jesus go to the right with Bukayo Saka. So now Saka doesn't have to play 790 games. On the left, you have Martinelli and Trossard. And then up front, you can bring in Viktor Gyokeres, and then we have Kai Havertz. That would be my own ideal squad this season. Like, if we had that as a squad this season, I think we can go on to do some great things in all 4 tournaments. So
fair. I think the squad depth is crucial, but I don't think we're going to get both him and Mikel Merino and in addition to that, keep Fabio Vieira. Igal, do you think Fabio Vieira is good enough to play a right wing backup for Saka? I don't think he's naturally going to play the right wing.
Yeah, he doesn't play. He's more effective as a midfielder, as a 10. Fabio Vieira plays. I think personally he's more effective as a 10. I think the backup and I won't call it backup, but I'll say the 2 players I would have on my right wing would be Gabriel Jesus and Bukayo Saka. Because if I get another striker with a different profile like a Gyokeres, then I would have Gyokeres and Havertz as my upfront, my center forwards, direct, both of you there. On the right, I'd have Saka and I'll have Gabriel Jesus. And on the left, I'll keep my 2, which is Martinelli and Leandro Trossard, which I think is and the good thing is people, my 2 of those players like Jesus and Leandro Trossard can play across the front 3 at any given time. So I can always swap Jesus to the left and bring Leandro Trossard to the right, which he also played very well on. So yeah, I think that is where I would have Fabio Vieira stay as a backup to Odegaard. So Odegaard doesn't play all the tournaments. So Odegaard, I can focus on the Premiership and the Champions League and then the FA Cup and the League Cup. I'll play Fabio Vieira in that role. If Fabio is not pulling his weight, then I'll probably just then sub Odegaard to come in for those type of games. But that's how I would kind of preface it for my own for the season.
You said something about Viktor Gyokeres. I find it interesting. Arsenal had their scouts at his game on the weekend. Would they be doing this if they weren't still thinking to sign him potentially? What do you think?
Yeah, I think we should go for him at this point because
Do
how
you think
many
there's
others?
a correlation between us still looking to sign him and us scouting him still in the
No,
preseason?
you see, when they so this whole idea of the scouts, because I think the reason the scouts went out there, I'm speculating. I have no information from anywhere, but I personally think it's because of the news of the knee surgery that he had a few weeks ago. If you remember at the beginning of the window, the reason that the Gyökeres stories began to die was there was news that he had had some minor knee injury, very minor stuff. They said he'll be ready in like a week or two or something like that. So I think they probably just went out to look and see, let's see how he's looking in the preseason game before you go through all your money on him and then realize it's a long-term knee injury that you have to deal with. So I think that's the reason they're out there. Of course, we still want him, but we have to be sure that, you know, they said he'll be back. Okay, so he's back. How is he looking as compared to how he was last season? Is he looking leggy? Was he taken off for the knee thing? Did something happen when he got tackled? Did you see him limping? Like you're watching out for everything and anything at this point. Because the problem that we cannot have this season as Arsenal is it's very little margins. Again, we lost the league last season because we lost 2 extra games. City 128, lost 3, drew 7 games, won the league. Arsenal 128, the same number of wins like City, lost 5 and drew 5 games. Those 2 extra losses that made our lost 5 lost us the league. So the margins are tiny. We need to get the right players. So if Gyökeres is the one coming in, you have to check, cross your T's, dot your I's, make sure that he's the right guy, that injuries are not, something that'll be reoccurring injuries, and then bring him in.
Okay. Did you see this? Ramsdale to Forest. Loan with an obligation to buy.
I would keep Ramsdale. I know he doesn't want to stay. Well, I don't know he doesn't want to stay. Nobody has told me that, but I would feel that he doesn't want to stay because he feels he's good enough to be a number one goalkeeper in another team. But we need to have a stacked squad. Like, do you understand? Like, if you look at City, right, when Edison got that knock and Pep swapped him, Edison wasn't very happy about it, right? In that I've won the game, but Ortega coming in did the business. Like you have to have a stacked team. We can't depend on the Carl Hines and the younger goalkeepers that we're just going to go and get now to be our backup goalkeepers. If for any reason they want him, then we should say, listen, you're either buying Ramsdale outrightly and here's our fee. We're not doing this whole loan thing with Ramsdale. And then let Ramsdale know, look, we're playing in 4 tournaments. If you play your part and you don't goof around and make mistakes and concede goals in the FA Cup or in the League Cup, we can win those 2. You will be the goalkeeper in between the bars for those games. The FA Cup and the League Cup, that's many a game for you next season, And for any reason, of course, if in the Premiership, Raya has an injury or a knock or something, guess who's coming in? It's you. And in the Champions League, whatever the case is, I think we need a stacked team. I would keep him. I would keep him. I would not let him go. I would not do a loan with obligation to buy. I would rather say, if you really want Ramsdale, then come get him. Here's my price: 38 million plus add-ons. Take Ramsdale off my books, give me my cash, and then I can then go put that money on another goalkeeper that is just as good as Ramsdale.
I would only sell him if it's an outright purchase or an obligation for like 40 million.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying,
Yeah, no relegation clause, by the way. And then we've already spoken about Calafiori. We already spoke about other stuff. Mikel Merino. Fabrizio Romano confirmed that Arsenal will proceed with the transfer of Real Sociedad's Mikel Merino. Now, there's 2 things about Mikel Merino that I want to speak to you about, Deo. Number 1, do you think Mikel Merino is a better fit than Fabian Ruiz? Number 2, do you think he's a better fit than some of the other players that were linked to, like a Zubimendi? Also, 21 million for Mikel Merino. Do you think because it's so cheap, we could easily probably go squeeze in another signing in the midfield?
Yeah, I think Mikel Merino, now that I've watched a lot more of his games, I think he suits that 8 role perfectly. And watching him associated with
He's a Xhaka replacement.
We're not playing like that same team anymore, so he's not a Xhaka replacement. I think Arsenal fans have forgotten that the season we had Xhaka and the way we played was very, very different from how we played last season. Very, very different from how we played last season. So that Shaka, that style that we played, that gun hole, just go against teams and just break them down, inverting Zinchenko and everybody just going ham. That style, we're done with it last season. So he's not a Shaka replacement. I think he's the perfect player for how Arsenal want to play, which is big, tall, strong players. Look, think about this, right? Let me do this breakdown for you. Our back four, average height 6'2", right? Back four. We're going from Ben White to Saliba to Gabriel, and then let's say Calafiori plays left back because he's already in. Great. In front of them, a 6'2" Mikel Merino, who's also very defensive and can carry the ball, and a Declan Rice. Just imagine those 6 giants standing in front of Ryan.
Who would you compare him to?
I would say he's a who would I compare him to? He's I think Fabian Ruiz is who I'll compare him to, but I think Fabian Ruiz is better than him as regards to like style of play. But because he plays in the 8 and Fabian Ruiz plays in the 6, but when he plays with Zubimendi in Sociedad, a couple of games I watched, I would see where Zubimendi would actually drive forward with the ball, and Merino would actually drop back to hold that 6 role in front of the defense. And he did a good job. Defensively, he's sound. So I think he can come in on that role. And the good thing about it is, since he's able to also do that role, not like perfectly, but he's able to do it. If you play him and Declan together, the good thing is when Declan is the one driving, he can hold that part for Declan. And Declan has an engine in him. We know that if he loses the ball, he can always run back to recover. But having a 6'2" Merino, who is also good defensively, help stop that attack would be a good thing, you know. I just think Arteta is trying to build giants in the game and just have like a solid team all through.
Arteta and Edu are reaching for invincible DNA. Tall, powerful, technical
and fast. Yeah, I think that's where they're going. Like, you can just see how the players that they're getting. If we get a Viktor Gyokeres up front, he's 6'2". If we get how tall is Kai Havertz again? Is he not 6'2" as well, or 6'1"?
Kai Havertz is 6'4", bro.
6'4", yeah. So we have like the kind of players that we're getting. I mean, barring Bukayo Saka and Martinelli and Leandro Trossard and Gabriel Jesus.
Saka himself is like 6 foot now.
No, Saka is like 5'10", 5'11".
No way, bro.
Bukayo Saka is not 6 foot tall. I doubt it. If he's 6 foot tall, then I've never seen that anywhere. I'm not sure, but I think yeah, Vamos, you like to lie to yourself. We have won a trophy in the last 4 years, and Arteta has not been at Arsenal for 6 years. He came 8th, 5th, 2nd. That's 4 seasons.
I'm mistaken.
Yeah, that's 4 seasons. He came 8th, 5th, 2nd. But I understand your agenda. You guys like to just push agendas.
They said Saka's 5'10", by the way. My bad.
Yeah, I say he's like 5'10". I think Martinelli is like 5'11" as well.
Because he was definitely, when he first came into the Arsenal team, the guy was like 5'8". He definitely grew.
He grew. Yeah, Saka grew over the years from being a teenager. He grew a little.
Yeah, Havertz is 6'3", by the way.
Yeah, 6'3". Okay, so that's all I'm saying as regards to like what Arteta is building. Of course, it's good to have big, strong, technical, fast players. It doesn't do us any harm. And if we get Fabian Ruiz as well on loan for just 1 season, he's 6'2". So think about it. Yeah, you've got a Fabian Ruiz on loan.
You know what I like about Fabian Ruiz though? The thing I like about Fabian Ruiz is both Partey and Jorginho are going to be leaving at the end of the season, most likely. We're not going to be giving them another contract extension, I don't think, right? Now, if we assume that they both leave at the end of the season on free contracts, then we're going to need to sign multiple midfielders the following season. It makes sense to already have somebody on loan that you're going to be buying permanently.
That you're going to be buying, who's also been able to integrate with the team and know his role, and basically, like, which is what we did again with Martin Odegaard. I keep saying this. The Martin Odegaard loan in the first spell gave him the opportunity to kind of work his way and build himself into the team, and then we went and we finalized the deal. And one good thing I like about, I'd prefer it to be a deal done and we dusted, but one thing I like about loan deals is, at the end of the day, right, you can beat down the price because now you're almost at the end of this other player's contract with the club. So we went and paid 30 million for Martin Odegaard eventually. 30 million. Like, just think about it.
Crazy.
Like, yeah. So for me, like, if we had gone outright and said we want to buy Martin Odegaard, they would have hit us with 55 million easy at the time. But the loan deal helps sometimes. So I think if we get Fabian Ruiz on a loan deal, with an option to buy or an obligation to buy. I don't mind an obligation to buy. I think 28, he comes, he plays one more season. 29, he plays till he's 30, like Partey. You know, we give him a 2-year, 3-year contract. 31. By the time he's on his way out, we can then look at, you know, what the market is saying. That would be 3 seasons from now. But this season, I think we need like players who are at their peak, who can come in, so that the squad depth is crazy. Like if you have Kai Havertz coming off the bench for Viktor Gyokeres, like that is, I'm okay with Kai Havertz being my second striker on the bench. Like that for me, I don't care. People will say 65 million, you want to put him on the bench. Yeah, City put 100 million Grealish on the bench, don't they? I don't hear you complaining. I don't hear you complaining. You know.
True. Listen, I'm gonna wrap it up there, bro. There's not much more to be said. We got a super chat. Big up, Jay Ash. I always see him on Hussam's channel. Big up to you, big supporter of Hussam, and I appreciate the super chat, my brother. He says, "Big up, my fellow Gunners. Big Iga and Deo, smash the like button, people. Come on, you Gunners, bro. I'm excited for this season, man. This season is gonna be a good season. I believe it's gonna be our year, hopefully. And with the squad depth that we're looking to get." Even if we don't get Viktor Gyokeres and we get another forward, I think we'll still be okay, Deo. I don't know about you.
We gonna be all right. That's the thing. I just need a different striker profile up front. I just think in certain games, like we've done the business and defense now, where I'm a little more confident that we would not lose certain games that we lost last season. Because even if we don't win the game, we draw, we get a point. Because that's what got City over the line last season. City drawing 7 games and losing 3. You see that 7 draws is 7 points is what gave them 2 points over us because we drew 5, you know, so it's fine margin. It's fine.
Well, we're going to wrap it up there. We've been going for almost 40 minutes. Big up everyone in the comment section. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. This is the 3rd video I've done of the day. Been very busy. Actually, if you include Never a Foul and Football Terrace, this is my 5th video of the day. Mental. Hopefully you guys enjoy your day. Catch you guys in the next one. And thank you for the super chat once again, my guy, Jay Ash. Big up to you for that, man. Really do appreciate it.
Big up, JJ.
Catch you guys in the next one.